SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
If you're feeling anxious about your investments with all the economic volatility and chaos in Washington, tune in to SuperTalk Jackson on Wednesdays from 9 to 10 a.m. and Sundays from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. for Element Wealth Radio with Jeremy Nelson. Learn more at myelementwealth.com.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21.
Good morning. Welcome to the start of a new week. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. May 12th, 2025, a big day for, we think, the United States of America. Some stuff happening over the weekend. We have much to discuss with you this morning. How are we going to do that? Well, one way is through the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Just want to say good morning. We'd love to hear from you. Got thoughts on news from the weekend? Feel free to jump in. Got questions? You can ask those as well. C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Your team has you covered on the field. C Spire has you covered everywhere else with the best technology for homework and on the go, backed by local 24/7 customer support. Learn more at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired. I'm Richard Cross. Lance Hubbard in the studio. We are glad to be starting the day with you. Good morning, Lance.
Good morning. Post-Mother's Day Monday.
Yes,
I'm sure you had a great weekend, and your wife was probably pampered, and now you get to Monday. We get to start the week up with nothing but news, man. I mean, there's stuff popping everywhere.
I mean, just as fast as you can consume it.
Did you get a new
Faster
plane?
than you can consume it.
Did you get a new plane for the weekend? I know one of
No. That very clearly, very obviously, is one of the things we need to peel the layers back on a little bit this morning.
I woke up to that. Like, what in the world? He's got a new plane from Qatar? I don't know what's up with that. That's interesting, though.
Yeah.
Add to Air Force One. It's like a loaner or something.
I don't think I could afford the maintenance on the one that Trump may be getting.
Yeah, I don't think I could afford the tire like on one of them.
Yeah, well, maybe not.
Need to pump it up.
If somebody wanted to give me one that the maintenance costs were a little lower on, I think we could probably figure something out there.
Yeah, talk to Gerard. He knows all about the planes and such.
Yeah. I have studied small private jets far more
than you need to.
I have wasted way more time on that than I should have.
Hey, it's nothing wrong
Who
with
knows,
dreaming.
maybe one day.
Yeah, nothing wrong with dreaming.
That's right. Maybe one.
You got to hang the carrot in front of you. Sort of one of these guys that was wearing like the suit, this like baby blue, and had the white teeth and the beautiful head of hair and a tan like he'd never been in an office. When I was getting done with our training in finance, that was one of the pieces of advice this gentleman gave us. And we looked at him, we're like, man, this guy, he looks like he knows what he's talking about. But he'd say, take a mental picture, then go take a physical picture of what you want and put it right there on your desk every day. And make sure you look at that and say, that's what I'm working for. And we were like, okay. And this guy was one of those, I'm telling you, like the teeth and he was the perfect, like, Gordon Gekko guy. And you're like, oh. Yeah. And then when we got on the train to leave that same day, we learned our whole company had been sold to another company while they were sitting there smiling at us, telling us all this stuff. It was, corporate world stuff, man. But, yeah, if you stick with it, maybe you get the plane. You never know.
Maybe so. Maybe one day. We hope you had a good weekend as well. Hope that you celebrated Mom in a big way, whether that was just spending a meal or sending a card or just giving her a phone call, whatever it was. Hope you were able to spend some time with Mom. I was thinking that I should write down a list of things that moms do, and then I was like,
it would never stop.
Don't know that we've got enough time for that. It's just absolutely incredible. Quite literally bringing us into the world, and then from there it just never, ever stops. So thanks to the moms out there all across the listening audience. And did you guys celebrate yesterday?
Oh, of course, yes. We had earlier in the week we went and did the catfish buffet, just my sister, my mother, and I. But then yesterday we spent the evening at sister's place and had great steaks that brother-in-law had fixed and hung out with everybody, had a good time. And exchanged I love yous and your amazing mothers and all that good stuff. And my sister's an amazing mother, too. I mean, she the chip off the block of my mother, so it's always fun to get those two together because there's some hijinks sometimes and laughs, and we always have a lot of fun remembering, the childhood stuff. So, yeah, it's always great to get together with them. And
did it rain on you last night while you were cooking steaks?
No, it was I think it decided to quit for a minute, but
whew.
Yeah, we have had enough. I think when we were leaving, it was funny. It started raining again, and you get the look from the dogs and everything. It's like, not again.
Not again. Yeah, I know.
But it subsided enough to enjoy the evening a little bit.
Jane was making some fa-fa salad last night, and she wanted grilled chicken to go on top of it. Like Greek season, chicken thighs, whatever that you can cut up. And I said, well, here, I like to grill up. I'll throw no reason to do it in the skillet. Not raining. And then get the charcoal in. About the time I light it, it's like kind of sprinkling a little bit. And by the time the fire was ready to go, coming down in sheets.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do at that point? You're gonna waste a good lump charcoal fire?
No, you got to go. You got to roll.
You got to go to work.
That reminds me of Sundays. My mother was always the master of the grill, and she would go out there and cook steaks.
Really?
Yeah. Now we ate a steak almost every Sunday growing up. It was steak and potato. My dad, that was always a Sunday. But she manned the grill most of the time. She loved cooking them, but man, it would be pouring down rain.
Yeah.
And she'd go out there and cook those steaks and bring them in as a trooper, man. So I have sympathy. I know what you went through on that. Yeah. You got to get it done, though, right?
Turned out good, though. So it's all that matters.
The wife was happy. That's what matters.
She was. Blue Mountain, cloudy skies this morning, followed by maybe some thunderstorms this afternoon. High of 73, winds out of the south-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your chance of rain, about 70%. A little better for you in Itabena today. It's going to be cloudy this morning with scattered thunderstorms developing later in the day. High of 75, winds 5 to 10 with a chance of rain at about 40%. Vicksburg, cloudy, showers, thunder possible. 74, light and variable, 50% chance of rain. What about you, Moss Point? Stop me if you've heard this before. Isolated thunderstorms this morning, partly cloudy this afternoon. High of 75. Winds out of the southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. About a 50% chance of rain. Kind of a day. But, hey, sun will come. It'll be accompanied with temperatures in the low to mid to upper 90s with humidities in the 50+%. So probably not all bad right now. If you look at weather today, Katharine Hepburn was born on this day in 1907 in Hartford, Connecticut. Lived until 2003. A pretty good run. Good run. Yogi Berra, born on this day in 1925. Hall of Fame catcher, coach, and manager. 18-time All-Star. 13-time World Series winner.
Nice.
All the fingers. The thumbs. A few toes. I just get tired of getting rings at that point, I guess. 13-time World Series champion. MVP of the American League in 1951, 54, 55. Received a Purple Heart. Born in St. Louis, Missouri. Maybe he wasn't the smartest guy in the history of the world, but you know what? Not one person can have everything. I think he had everything else. Got the Purple Heart. One of the greatest baseball players of all time. 13 world championships. When you come to a fork in the road, take it.
That's right. And with one of the greatest names of any athlete of any era, any time, Yogi Berra.
On this day, in 1956, fictional character Homer Simpson was born. Donut aficionado. The Simpsons. I mean, that's how you know you have made it as a television program when there is a birthday that you celebrate of a fictional character. That is Homer Simpson. And American skateboarder Tony Hawk, 56 years old, born in Carlsbad, California, on this day in 1968. One of the greatest guitar riffs of all time was born on this day. Ooh. Needs no introduction, Lance.
No, this is a good one. And it came to him in his sleep.
Product of Mick Jagger and Keith Richards' songwriting partnership. Guitar riff. Widely considered as one of the greatest hooks of all time. Satisfaction was a hit, giving the Stones their first number one in the United States. In the UK, it took a little longer. Lyrics were considered too suggestive. However, it later became the fourth number one for the Rolling Stones in the United Kingdom. They released Satisfaction this day, 1965.
From the Venable Glass.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Day 1994, Pulp Fiction, directed by Quentin Tarantino, starring John Travolta, Uma Thurman, Samuel L. Jackson, premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. It won the Palme d'Or Award, the best film at the Cannes Film Festival. Bruce Willis was in the movie. It was written and directed by Tarantino from a story that he conceived with Roger Avery. Refers to the pulp magazines and hard-boiled crime novels popular during the mid-20th century, known for their graphic violence and punchy dialogue. You get 4 different storylines that are not told chronologically that are all going on. There are people that say the release and success of Pulp Fiction reshaped the independent film industry. People call it an American masterpiece. Some people just call it filth. Pretty big movie, though, in 1994.
I was a big fan of it, especially when it first came out. It was revolutionary.
Yeah? It really was. Why is that?
Well, just the way it was shot, the genre in which you were seeing the action and the filming with throwback kind of, you were seeing, it was almost like he was saying, the pulp fiction, the crime novel style of TV back in the old days. It really did a great job of capturing that. And then you had everything that was set in the modern era, but almost every setting you were kind of in like a 50s style or 60s style architecture. So it was an interesting mix of 2 different cultures, the present with the past, and pulled it off masterfully.
Quentin Tarantino is a wildly talented guy. Feels like a little dark, but wildly talented.
He's put out some winners, too. I mean, honestly, some crazy movies, good ones.
23 years ago, former U.S. President Jimmy Carter arrived in Cuba for a 5-day visit with Fidel Castro, becoming the first president of the United States in or out of office to visit the island since Castro's 1959 revolution. Did you catch American Idol last night? Jamal Roberts, the elementary school PE teacher from Meridian, father of 3, used 2 performances to win enough of the fan vote to advance into the top 5. In line with the Disney night theme, he started the night with Go the Distance from the film Hercules. Broadway playwright, songwriter Lin-Manuel Miranda helped each contestant prepare. He was left speechless during Robert's rehearsal. Said, quote, Jamal has an R&B voice of the gods. It really is a remarkable gift, and he knows how to use it. It's really beautiful. Each of the three judges gave their stamps of approval to Jamal Roberts before live voting closed for the night and the lights were dimmed. Carrie Underwood said, Jamal, you just proved why you are here in the top 7, and you proved why you should continue to be here. Just how good you are is really humbling to me and amazing. I'm so happy you're with us. Lionel Richie said, I have 3 words that I want the world to know right now. Vote, vote, and vote. And America listened. He got a big enough chunk of the over 20 million votes nationwide to be included in the final 5 singers, joining Slater Nowie, Brianna Nix, John Foster, and Thunderstorm artists. Gabby Simone, Maddie Pruitt going home. Top 5 will return to the stage tonight for a new episode. Only 3 will advance after tonight's show to the season finale coming up next Sunday night. Derek Carr announced his decision to retire on Saturday morning following the news that the New Orleans Saints quarterback may have to get shoulder surgery again. Doesn't want to do it. Carr played 11 seasons, first of 9 of which came as a member of the Raiders after being selected in the second round of the 2014 NFL Draft out of Fresno State. Signed with the Saints in 2023. 14-13 was his record as a starter, battled injuries through most of his 2 seasons. Missed 7 games last year with oblique hand and head injuries. Late in March, while preparing for this season, he experienced an injury to the right shoulder, set to enter the 3rd year of a 4-year, $150 million contract. Made about $250 million in his 11 years in the NFL. He can afford the maintenance on one of those big planes.
Yeah, he could definitely.
At least for a little while.
Yeah, you're going to have like a trust fund, and put that in. You don't want to forget your payment on that.
Yesterday, Hamas said that it would release the last American hostage held in Gaza after discussions with the U.S. over a ceasefire and a deal to allow humanitarian aid to enter the Gaza Strip. In a statement, Hamas and Israeli-American Eden Alexander will be, or maybe it's Edan Alexander, will be released as part of the steps aimed at achieving a ceasefire, opening the crossings and allowing humanitarian aid and relief into, as they said, their beloved Gaza Strip. It didn't make clear what it would specifically receive in return for his release. President Trump wrote on Truth Social, quote, I am happy to announce that Edan Alexander, an American citizen who has been held hostage since October of 2023, is coming home to his family. Hopefully this is the first of those final steps necessary to end this brutal conflict. U.S. officials are hoping that he will be released within 24 hours. Steve Witkoff, envoy to the Middle East, is on his way to Israel to pick Alexander up. The Israeli Prime Minister's office said that Alexander's intended release is, quote, a gesture to the Americans without any compensation or conditions. We'll see about that. Trump was busy over the weekend. Said yesterday he would sign an executive order this morning aimed at lowering prescription drug costs, looking to implement a policy that ties U.S. drug prices to what other countries pay. Trump wrote, quote, our country will finally be treated fairly and our citizens' health care costs will be reduced by numbers never even thought of before, close quote. Said he would be instituting a policy known as Most Favored Nation, where the United States government will pay the price for drugs that are tied to the prices paid by other countries. Many other countries pay lower prices for prescription medications because their single-payer healthcare systems negotiate for the deals. Trump did not specify whether the order would apply to Medicare, Medicaid, or other government programs. Lots of questions about this. And this is another one of those things that's kind of good for all Americans if it happens, at least all Americans that are not named drug companies. There are some that are pointing to still not actually addressing the problem of the middleman, the PBM, that is a larger issue than actually the cost of drug companies, or the cost related to the the buying of those prescriptions directly from drug companies. We'll see where this goes. There are others that go, yeah, it's not going to stand up in court. Drug companies are going to sue. They'll get an injunction. They'll stop this. We shall see. But it is going to be fascinating to see how are Democrats going to oppose this. Because if it comes out of Trump's mouth, the left is against it, period.
I think it's pretty much been avoided from the news standpoint so far.
How are you going to oppose this one?
You just avoid talking about it, I guess.
Not the only controversial thing. Lance alluded to this. President Donald Trump is reportedly ready to accept a luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet as a gift from the ruling family of Qatar during his trip to the Middle East this week. Officials say that it could be converted into a potential presidential aircraft. Now, the Qatari government says they've not made a final decision on this. But because it got into the mainstream, ABC was the first to report it, Trump has defended the idea, saying it would amount to a president accepting an astonishingly valuable gift from a foreign government as a fiscally smart move for the country. ABC News said Trump will use the aircraft as his presidential plane until shortly before he leaves office in 2029, and then it will be transferred to his foundation that will oversee his yet-to-be-built presidential library. The media attaché for Qatar, Ali Al-Ansari, said that this was a possible transfer of an aircraft for temporary use as Air Force One. It's currently under consideration between both the Qatari Ministry of Defense and the U.S. Department of Defense, but the matter remains under review by the respective legal departments and no decision has been made. Yes, administration officials are anticipating ethics concerns, and they've prepared an analysis arguing that accepting the plane would be legal. The emoluments clause bars anyone holding government office, this is in the Constitution, from accepting any present, emolument, office, or title from any king, prince, or foreign state without congressional consent. 2 existing Air Force One planes are in service. They're both 35 years old. This plane wouldn't have all of the capabilities that Air Force One currently has, but the United States is still waiting on Boeing to deliver a new Air Force One. It was ordered in 2018. And some reports say it'll still be 5 to 10 years before it's ready. And oh, by the way, Boeing wants more money from what they originally agreed the price would be. Sports headlines coming up for you next. It was a busy sports weekend in the Magnolia State. We're back with you after this on MRC.
Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Great mama, where you been so long? You been hiding out, I know that's true. Great mama, sure need you.
Big sports weekend. Good to be with you. You want to join us, you can on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. We start in Starkville, Mississippi State and Ole Miss, a compressed schedule this weekend because of the threat of inclement weather and a whole lot of rain. They moved Friday's first pitch up to 4 o'clock, played a doubleheader on Friday, and then able to get Game 3 of the series in on Saturday night. Weekend started off well for Ole Miss as the Rebels got Game 1 against Mississippi State. Final score was 10-4. In the game, Hunter Elliott on the mound for Ole Miss was pretty good. 5 2/3, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. He walked 3 and struck out 7. Rebels used Mason Morris and Will McCausland after that. Ole Miss got after Pico Khan pretty good. 5 innings. He gave up 8 runs. 6 of them were earned. Ole Miss hit 4 home runs in that first game of the series en route to the win. Then they took about a 45-minute break, and got right back to it. And Game 2 was all about Evan Sierre on the mound for Mississippi State. He was outstanding for the Bulldogs. A career high and then some. 15 strikeouts with no walks. Did that on 98 pitches. Went 8 innings in the game. Gave up 6 hits, did not allow a run. Ben Davis in relief. Gave up 1 hit in the ballgame as Mississippi State split the series, made it with a 4-1 win. And then on Saturday night, Mississippi State jumped out to a 6-1 lead in the ballgame. Bulldogs were aided by 3 Ole Miss errors. Starting pitcher for the Rebels, Mason Nichols, went 3 2/3. It was an outing that felt like it could have gone a little bit farther, if not for a costly error where the Rebels should have been able to turn an easy double play in the 4th inning. Mississippi State took a 1-1 game and turned it into a 4-1 game. They added a couple of more runs in the 5th inning, so it was 6-1 after 5. Mississippi State would not score again. Ole Miss able to cut into the lead with a couple of runs in the 7th inning, 2 more runs on a Colin Reuter home run in the 8th inning. Rebels got the first 2 men on base in the top of the 9th with back-to-back walks. Failed to get down a bunt. Isaac Humphrey hit into a double play, and then a ground ball to the shortstop. Fielder's choice ended the ballgame. Mississippi State takes 2 of 3. Carson Ligon was the winning pitcher in the series finale. Mason Nichols took the loss. Ryan McPherson picked up his first save of the season. So, with 1 weekend remaining in the regular season, Mississippi State is 31-20 overall. They are 12-15 in SEC play, and they head to Missouri this weekend for their final 3 games, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Ole Miss is 34-17 overall, 14-13 in the SEC. And the Rebels host the Auburn Tigers at home at Swayze again Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. C-Spire text line, that was a contest between 2 very mediocre baseball teams. Okay?
Well, the records would tell you that. Mississippi State could, take 3 from Missouri and be 15-15, so
yep.
That's right in the middle. That's fairly average. And same, Ole Miss could, go 14-16 if they don't play good ball this weekend. So
there has been a debate in the state of Louisiana. Most of the other schools, LSU in particular, do not recognize the University of Louisiana as being UL, as they've always been called. Well, not always, but for a long time they've been ULL.
Ooh la la.
Or, ooh la la, whatever you want to say. Great tweet from Southern Miss that said maybe you should just spell it with 3 L's. Because Southern Miss did just that. They handed 3 straight L's to the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana this weekend. 12 wins in a row for the Golden Eagles. They are on a heater right now, playing really good baseball. It got started on Friday in Game 1 with an 11-3 win. Got a run rule victory on Senior Day at Pete Taylor Park, 15-5 on Saturday. And then yesterday it was a 9-6 win for the Golden Eagles. They will close out the regular season Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Troy, Alabama. Troy is the only team in college baseball that has not lost a weekend series the entire year. They're 13-0 in 13 weekend series. Next best record, Southern Miss, who is 12-1 in their 13 weekend series this year. Something's got to give. Golden Eagles, 38-13 overall, 21-6 in the Sun Belt Conference.
I'm not sure there's a hotter team in the country right now than Southern Miss.
Playing really, really good baseball right now. So congratulations to the Golden Eagles. The Ole Miss softball team is headed to Tucson for a softball regional. Rebels ranked 18th in the country, got bounced in the quarterfinals of the SEC softball tournament. And they will compete in the Tucson regional as Arizona is the number 13 seed, Grand Canyon and Santa Clara, the other 2 teams. Ole Miss will open play Friday at 9 o'clock Central Time. It you want to watch the game, it'll be on ESPNU. It's the second time that Ole Miss has played Grand Canyon this year. They beat them, second time ever. They beat Grand Canyon in the 2022 Los Angeles Regional at UCLA. Mississippi State headed to Texas Tech, Lubbock, lovely Lubbock, Texas for a softball regional. Seventh time in the last 8 tournaments that the Bulldogs have been in the postseason. They went 13-11 in the SEC this year. They opened the double elimination tournament Friday night at 7 against Washington. Alongside the Bulldogs and the Huskies, you've got Texas Tech as the host, the number 12 seed, and Brown from the Northeast. So, good luck to the Rebels and the Bulldogs. The SEC got 7 of the top 8 seeds in the national tournament, with 14 of the 15 SEC playing softball teams in postseason play. Missouri, the only team that is not in a regional. Vanderbilt does not have a softball team. On Saturday, former Ole Miss captain Tim Elko got called to the big leagues. On Sunday, he got his first career big league hit, and it was a big one.
Elko hits this one hard. Left field, going back, it is gone! Welcome to Chicago, Tim Elko. His first big league home run. And he gives the Sox the lead here in the 6th inning.
That turned out to be the game winner, a 381-foot home run for Tim Elko, his first big league hit, a 3-run jack. Made it 4-1. Sox went on to win 4-2. What a cool story for Tim Elko. His parents in attendance over the weekend. Tim Elko marks the 4th former Rebel, making his Major League Baseball debut this year. First time Ole Miss has ever gotten 4 players to the show in the same season.
And Rollison got called up too, yeah.
Yeah, Elko joins Doug Nikhazy, who made his debut earlier this year with the Cleveland Guardians, Gunnar Hoagland with the Oakland A's, and Ryan Rollison, who got called up with the Rockies. 57 former Rebels have made it to the big leagues.
Hey, do you know one of the guys that you work with here and there, Kessinger, I believe his first major league hit was a home run also. And I think it almost went in a similar spot as Elko's.
With the Cincinnati Reds, was it in Atlanta?
I can't remember exactly where he was playing, but I remember throwing a party when he blew that one out on his first. I was like, oh, this is amazing. I know that guy. But, yeah, that's hard to do. You know, Elko almost had a hit the night before to win the game, and defense made an amazing play up the middle and then gets another shot the next day. And something that he's done a lot in his career is win games with big hits.
No doubt. The third-ranked Ole Miss men's golf team set to compete in their 17th NCAA tournament. That's in program history. They are in Tallahassee, Florida. Regional play begins today. Features 3 18-hole rounds of stroke play. Top 5 teams from each regional will advance, along with the highest finishing individual that's not on an advancing team. 30 teams will comprise the field for the NCAA championship that begins May 23rd at Omni La Costa Resort and Spa in Carlsbad, California. Good luck to the Ole Miss men's golf team and to the Mississippi State men's golf team, who is headed to Reno, Nevada, state's 7th consecutive NCAA regional berth. That extends a program record. Bulldogs are at the Montreux Golf and Country Club in Reno, Nevada. They get started today. Again, top 5 teams in terms of stroke play score will advance to the national championship tournament. Those are your sports headlines on this Monday morning. We've got an update from the Mississippi Lottery when we come back with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Slow down, keep you low down and never forget me. Higher, 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 how high can we go? Ride me high this morning, ride me high some more.
From the Venable. Wake up! Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On Super Talk, Mississippi.
the theme song for the stock market, which could be in for a wild ride today. I don't know if that means this is the time to buy or not, but would imagine that the market is going to react favorably when the opening bell dings this morning. I'm not sure that's the sound that it makes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it is a bing, 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 bing.
We'll see. We will wait and see what the market does when it opens today. But market tends to like good news, so we'll see if the news from China is good enough to get things rolling. Now, that music signifies the update that you get right now from the Mississippi Lottery. Find them online at mslottery.com. That's mslottery.com. For all of your lottery updates, you can go right there. Where's this email? You got it pulled up?
I do.
I sure was looking at it about midnight last night, and now I can't find it. But lead us off, Lance. How about that?
Well, we can roll with. I was looking at the last time Lotto America had won. It seems like it's gone forever, but Lotto America, no jackpot winner tonight. Estimated jackpot $33.78 million.
There it is.
Cash value on that $15.34 million. The numbers from the Saturday drawing: 10, 12, 27, 45, 51. Star ball of 1. All-star bonus multiplier of 3. And we got Powerball, no jackpot winner. Estimated jackpot tonight, Monday, May the 12th, $93 million. Estimated cash on that, 42.3. The numbers from Saturday, again, 5, 20, 28, 39, 42. Powerball of 13, power play multiplier of 2.
Saturday night's double play numbers, 24, 36, 43, 47, 69. The Powerball was 22. Mega Millions up to $110 million. Next jackpot drawing coming your way on Tuesday with an estimated cash value of $49.4 million. Friday's numbers from Mega Millions, 9, 10, 12, 48, and 60. The Mega Ball was 16. Mississippi Match 5, no jackpot winner there. Tonight's jackpot, $390,000. 6, 19, 21, 27, 34. Those the 5 numbers from Mississippi Match 5 on Sunday night.
We can jump over to Sunday's Cash 3 $500 midday numbers, 881. Evening, 678. Cash 4 $5,000 midday, 9989. Evening, 1323. Fireball of 3, both in the midday and evening. Cash pop of 15 in the midday. Evening cash pop of 12.
The Lottery Claims Office paid out $221,000 last week. Retailers paid out about $4.8 million. So a lot of winners across the Magnolia State. The Mississippi Lottery is heating up this summer with 3 bonus promotions, and it pays to be a Mississippi Lottery insider. To do that, all you got to do is go to mslottery.com. You've got the Pink Panther Diamond Tripler bonus promotion.
Boom.
The penultimate drawing on the Pink Panther Diamond Tripler bonus promotion takes place this Thursday, May 15th. Lottery will award cash prizes of $15,000, $10,000, and $5,000. Plus 3 $100 gift cards. Those winning cities will be announced exclusively to lottery insiders. Then a public release comes out on social media and online at mslottery.com. Also, still time to enter the NASCAR Powerball Playoff. The next drawing for that takes place May 22nd. 2 winners will each take home $3,000. All winners will qualify for the National NASCAR Powerball Playoff, racing toward a $1 million grand prize. And finally, sizzling summer cash. May games are now available, including the $2 Heat Stroke, $5 Blazing Hot Bucks, and $10 Red Hot Cash with top prizes of up to $200,000. And if you've got a non-winning ticket, you can enter that for your chance to win prizes going from $500 gift cards all the way up to $25,000 in cash. Those 6 bonus drawings get started on May 21st. Visit mslottery.com and click on the Bonus Promos tab for more details. You got winners?
Yes, sir. Cash pot winners. Hazelhurst woman won $1,000 on a ticket purchased at A&J Food Store. Hazelhurst, State Line man, and Cleveland woman each won $12.50 on a ticket from Clark Oil Company in Buckatuna and Parker's Filling Station in Cleveland. And a New Albany woman won $2,500 on a ticket from Tony's 2 in New Albany.
$2,700 to a Columbus man on a Cash 4 scratch-off. Got it at Eastside Chevron in Columbus. Vicksburg man won $1,000 on a ticket from LA1 Food Mart in Brandon. That was on a Match 5. Had a Mega Million scratch-off winner going to a Long Beach man, $2,000. Got it at Circle K in Gulfport. And then a Marion man won $1,000 on a ticket from Hampton Shell in Meridian. That was on a $20 200X Cash Blitz ticket. Fulton woman tripled that, $3,000 on 2 tickets from Fulton Tobacco Mart and Murphy Oil USA. She was lucky. 2 tickets, different places, $3,000 in the pocket. Congrats to all the winners. Learn more at mslottery.com. Going back to Thursday, if you believe in the weekend starting on Thursday, it was a busy weekend for the President of the United States. We'll recap what Donald Trump has done and what he's got going this week when we come back with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. News is next.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Reaching across the state and across the aisle. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Yonder, baby.
7 o'clock hour. Good Monday morning to you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. For those of you just jumping into the car, we hope you had a great weekend. For the moms out there especially, we hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. And for those of you who don't still have moms around to celebrate, we hope that your memories were filled with good times and great love. This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. That's MWGEmployerServices.com. Let's talk about jumping in the car and getting kids to school on this Monday morning. A little gray across the state of Mississippi, but I think most parents right now are dealing with kids who are 100% on the countdown to summer.
Yeah, checked out.
Graduations at the collegiate level have happened. So you got those in the rearview mirror. And I don't know. I feel like in our house, like on the backside of spring break, it's been like, oh, it's summer. Not yet. A little bit of work still to do. But most places, state tests have finished up. I don't know who takes final exams anymore. I feel like everybody lots and lots of people seem to be exempt. And so it's like the last week and a half of school, what are you doing at school? Just, something that has been mulled over in our house a little bit.
I remember those days.
Finish strong, kiddos. The end is near. Those mornings when you can sleep in a little bit later, or I don't know, maybe you got to get up and go to football practice or cross-country practice, but no classroom time. It's just around the corner. Just get to the finish line. Run through the finish line. Don't stop 100 meters or 100 yards short. Run through it. Sprint to the finish. It was a busy weekend for the President of the United States. Let's recap. On Thursday, you had the trade deal with the United Kingdom that was announced. Markets reacted favorably. It was the first major public trade deal announced by the Trump administration since the tariff structure had gone into place with nations all across the globe. Was it domino number one of hundreds that were about to begin to fall, or was it just something? We've been told by the Trump administration, Scott Bessent and others, that, hey, there are lots and lots and lots of conversations that are going on. We're going to get there with these deals. You had the announcement of a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. You had the announcements that a deal is now in place with China. You get the news that Putin and Zelensky are going to meet this week in Turkey on making a peace deal. What was it, Russia that came out with a statement and they said there have been a lot of other people involved. We're going to sit down face to face and try and hash this out. Okay. I wonder if both sides feel like they've been backed into a corner by the involvement of others. I don't know. And you had the announcement first on Truth Social last night, with subsequent news coming out that this morning Donald Trump is going to sign an executive order that will create a major change in the way Americans pay for prescription drugs. And today you've got Donald Trump, after that press conference, heading to Andrews to get on a plane and fly halfway around the world to the Middle East. I would say a fairly productive weekend for a guy that, just plays golf 4 days a week. Right, that's what we're told, right? Trump, all he does is go on vacations and play golf. Never actually working.
Must get a lot done on the golf course then.
Either gets a lot done on the golf course or has really empowered his people to get stuff done. Now, as it pertains to the prescription drug deal, there are a lot of people that are against this that are saying this is price control. Price control is it's a Democrat tool, not a Republican tool. Republicans believe in free markets. Price controls are not free markets. One of those people is Thomas in Greenwood. He sends us when price controls are put in place by Kamala, we get the shun face, and when they're put in by Trump, everybody's smiling. Thomas, I know you're a free market capitalist. I get it. Like, that's all you believe in. Just period. Let the chips fall where they may. Can't you be for that and also recognize that when it comes to the prescription drug industry, there's a problem and it's out of control? And you've given that industry the ability to solve its own problem, and it doesn't do it ever because they're too busy going all Scrooge McDuck, diving off the diving board into the money pit of gold? Larry in Mize says, do you think Biden could have done that? I'm assuming you mean all of that in a weekend. Larry, history tells us no. Oh, by the way, there was another thing that I didn't mention here. The release of the final U.S. prisoner in Gaza. Got that negotiated as well. Yeah, there's some people that are flying under the radar in this administration. You've heard me mention Susie Wiles a bunch of times as the chief of staff. Yeah, we're seeing Stephen Miller constantly talking about policy positions. If, with no context, I gave you the name Steve Witkoff, would you have any idea who that is? He's the guy that Trump has been sending to negotiate these hostage deals, alongside, in a lot of cases, Marco Rubio. But Witkoff has done some amazing work on behalf of the United States government negotiating some of these release deals. It really is incredible. Witkoff is the special envoy to the Middle East. And I think he's on a plane right now headed to Israel to pick up Idan Alexander, who's the last remaining hostage. Tim in Tupelo says, well, Thomas, is are extremely high prices for drugs for decades not price controls? Thomas says simply, price controls are socialism. Yeah, there's a problem because we have too much socialism in the form of Medicaid and Medicare. Play the hits, Thomas. Play the hits, brother. I mean, what a weekend. And look, we'll get into this a little bit later in a little bit more detail. But Donald Trump is not cooperating with the Trump is Hitler narrative. He's just not. You know the history of Adolf Hitler, and that is how Democrats have wanted to label Donald Trump. He's Hitler, he's Hitler, he's Hitler, he's Hitler, he's Hitler. And yet, what do you have Donald Trump doing? Pushing and pushing and pushing to the point where Russia and Ukraine are finally going to sit down and try to negotiate an end to their conflict that's 3 years, with hundreds of thousands of lives lost that didn't have to be lost. The Trump administration pushing and pushing and pushing to get Pakistan and India to the table. A lot of other world leaders were involved with that as well. But the fact of the matter is, Trump's the president of the United States. Still the most powerful country in the world. And under his administration, these ceasefires are getting done, or the negotiations are getting done. And oh, by the way, though it has been a bumpy road, Israel and Palestine, Gaza, Hamas, however you want to describe it, the mess in the Middle East, seem to be making a little progress there as well. Not very Hitler-like of him. We're back with you. What about this drug price announcement?
From the Venable Glass.
And now, Mornings with Richard Cross. What's up?
Let's get the show going.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
C-Spire text line is open to you, 601-879-4395. Let C-Spire help you be your best. The best teams know how to get even better. That's why C-Spire constantly enhances their wireless, fiber internet, and business solutions for you. Visit cspire.com today. C-Spire, inspired by you. A couple of guests coming up this morning. Hugh Keating, who is a candidate for mayor in Gulfport, will join us. That's about 15 minutes from right now. And then JT Mitchell from the SuperTalk Mississippi News team will be along just after 8:30. On the C-Spire text line, so Republicans are for health care price controls now. When Biden or Obama proposed things like this, every conservative media outlet was screaming socialism to the rafters. It's fine with me, but man, we sure do live in bizarro world nowadays. It's not isolated to healthcare, is it? Now, the price control thing that certainly is worthy of a conversation. But don't we have lots of things that publicly Democrats have been for in the past that this administration is putting in place only to have Democrats completely reverse their positions? It's the case in the tariff conversation. You have plenty of sound clips of former Democrat presidents talking about tariffs to try and balance the trade deficit that the United States has with lots of other countries. You have Republicans in leadership positions trying to put an end to wars and conflicts across the globe. But it kind of used to be the Republicans who were accused of being warmongers, didn't it? I mean, that's what I've heard over and over and over. Republicans, all they want to do is go fight wars. Maybe that's Dick Cheney era Republicans.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because you've had Lyndon and Kennedy and quite a few of the Democrats that seem to have been a little bit more willing to fire off some rockets and missiles and such.
Yeah. Mose says, Richard, while they may overlap, there is a difference between price controls and reducing the costs for government services. Thomas, will drug companies be allowed to simply stop making any meds they lose money on? To heck with anyone who dies due to lack of access to that medication. Somebody says, how many immigrants did Obama report? I'm sorry, not report, but deport. A bunch. Pretty good one. It's from LG in the Delta. You have to remember something. If a Democrat accuses someone of doing something, it's exactly what they are doing. I believe that's called gaslighting. All right. So this executive order that is expected to be announced here in about half an hour, maybe an hour from now, aimed at lowering drug prices. What are the details? Yesterday, President Trump said that he would sign an executive order aimed at lowering the cost of prescription drugs, looking to implement a policy that ties U.S. drug prices to what other countries pay. Is this price control or is this high-level negotiation? And I'm not being a Trump shill when I ask that question. I'm genuinely curious. Are you controlling the price through government means, or are you saying we're going to pay what everybody else pays, we're not going to be cheated? Trump says our country will finally be treated fairly and our citizens' health care costs will be reduced by numbers never even thought of before. On top of everything else, the United States will save trillions of dollars. Going with the most favored nations clause when it comes to the purchasing of prescription drugs, meaning whatever the lowest price any country is paying, that's what the United States is willing to pay. And if you don't think that there is a difference, here's an example. The list price for diabetes medication Jardiance was $611 for a 30-day supply last year in the United States. In Switzerland, that same 30-day supply cost a consumer $70. In Japan, it costs $35. Now, the pharmaceutical industry, as you would expect, is against this. Government price setting in any form is bad for American patients. Remember, we heard that in the PBM deal also, right? PBM reform is bad for patients. It's bad for the end user. Prices will ultimately go up. That's what we've heard over and over. Alex Shriver, Senior Vice President of Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, that's their trade organization, that's their lobbying arm, says at a time when we are facing growing competition from China, policymakers should focus on fixing the flaws in the U.S. system, not importing failed policies from abroad. Trump's administration, by the way, tried to do this in his first go-around in 2020. Introduced a regulation for certain cancer drugs and others, paid for by Medicare, but the court struck it down. Though they didn't strike it down on the merits of the order, it was on a procedural issue. Story in the Wall Street Journal says pharmaceutical executives in recent days scrambled to defeat the Medicaid drug pricing proposal in Congress. And the bill paying for Trump's tax cuts is no longer expected to contain that in it. In Trump's post on Truth Social, he said the pharmaceutical drug companies would say for years that it was research and development costs, and that all of these costs were and would be for no reason whatsoever borne by the suckers of America alone. Campaign contributions can do wonders, but not with me and not with the Republican Party. We are going to do the right thing, something that the Democrats have fought for many years. Is a gifted airplane a campaign contribution? Just thinking out loud. On the airplane gift thing from Qatar, if that happens, I don't know if I think 100% that it falls under the emoluments clause, but I do think it's weird. It's strange. It's fishy. I thought Ari Fleischer said it best on in an X post this morning when he basically said the same thing. He said, nothing about getting Air Force One from a foreign government feels right. It may be legal, but I wouldn't do it. Air Force One should be American through and through. It shouldn't pass through foreign hands, and it shouldn't be a gift from a king. Don't do it. That's what Ari Fleischer said, former press secretary for W.
I have to agree with him on that. I don't see the point of it.
It would
honestly
be nice if it didn't take the American company that has already been paid to build the plane 12 to 15 years.
I would just say no thanks, man. What do you need the plane for, honestly, from a king of an extremely rich Middle Eastern country? It sounds fishy, smells fishy. Don't understand why you would even entertain it, but that's my opinion on it.
Save some money.
But what? I mean, why would you need an airplane? Why wouldn't you just get cash if that's what you're going to, I mean, an airplane requires maintenance and staff and all this stuff. I mean, it's not like a gift is free.
No.
Like $500 million. Hey, here's $500 million. That's different.
Yeah, that's no different than if you own a private plane, right? Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to be able to afford to buy a plane. It's another thing to operate said plane.
Yeah, just bizarre. I don't understand it or what the gift is for. We're saying thanks for all the money. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a weird situation.
I will say, and we get a message to this effect on the C Spire text line. I'm just weary of the "if this were Biden then" stuff. Like everything that a president does is going to be framed against his predecessor. Or his predecessors. Oh, if it had been this guy, then this would have been the reaction. That's politics. Period. Politics. Hugh Keating joins us next. Candidate for mayor of Gulfport. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Grab another cup of coffee and start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
When they play their music, that hard rock music, they like it with a lot of flash, but it's still that same old.
Good to be with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Thanks so much for spending part of your Monday morning with us. There's no question that in municipal elections, the city of Jackson has gotten the most publicity for its mayoral race, but there is a big race that's happening in coastal Mississippi with the city of Gulfport. We know that there is going to be a new mayor because Billy Hughes, after 3 terms in office, announced that he was not running for a 4th term. Hugh Keating He's a Republican candidate for mayor in Gulfport, and he joins us this morning. Mr. Keating, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Richard. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you jumping on. Gulfport, certainly an important city, second largest city in the state population-wise, and a lot of good things going in Gulfport over the last decade plus. When Billy Hughes announced that he was not going to run for re-election for a fourth term, you pretty quickly put your name out there and said that you wanted this opportunity. Why?
Well, it wasn't that quickly.
Okay.
I gave it a lot of thought and reflection. Had to speak with my better half and boss and make sure that she was all aboard with it. But at the end of the day, my decision was made because of my training, my knowledge, my experience in economic development, having been around the city in the practice of law for 40 plus years, and having touched virtually every aspect of municipal government. Some community leaders contacted me, asked me if I would consider it, and in due course, I felt like it was the right thing to do. I've always believed in service above self. I've got a lot to give. I want to give it while I have the opportunity, and I want to help Gulfport improve the quality of life for our children, our children's children. I want to help build better and stronger community relations. We've got a lot of good things going, like you said, and a lot of opportunity. We got some things we need to fix, like every city our size.
Sure. Where is that area of focus? In areas that you think Gulfport needs to get better, needs to continue to grow, where is your focus primarily?
Well, there are three things that we're primarily going to focus on. Number one, public safety. That's key to a lot of things, primarily economic development. You can't have good economic development. You can't reach your potential with economic development unless you have safe neighborhoods and people feel comfortable in coming to Gulfport and bringing their businesses. Infrastructure development. Again, without good public safety, you can't have economic development. You can't drive infrastructure development. You can't pay for it like you should. And we've got a lot of areas that need some attention with regard to drainage and widening of streets and roads, particularly as you go up the corridor 49 north into the area north of I-10 and in West Gulfport. But public safety is our number one priority. We've got about 50 sworn patrol less than we should have, which makes it difficult for our force to be able to get into our neighborhoods to help build confidence and trust like we know we could and should, because they don't have time to actually network and interact in the neighborhoods. They're focused on covering the immediate needs and activities of the moment, but we're going to change that. We're going to do what we can to help grow the force. We got a great force. We just need to grow it.
When you look at that 3-county stretch on the Mississippi Gulf Coast and the communities across there, Gulfport kind of right in the middle with Biloxi to the east, and work on over toward Pascagoula. What is the role that the city of Gulfport plays? And I mean, if you think of it as a wheel and there are all these spokes, I mean, the spoke that is Gulfport, what's the responsibility for Gulfport on the Gulf Coast?
Well, Gulfport is uniquely situated. We're kind of the financial hub. We're the center of the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Yep.
I've been involved in representing coastal Mississippi, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, for a long time. We have unique understandings and relationships with our coast mayors and municipalities and county governments. Gulfport is uniquely situated in that we're one of two cities in the country that have a major port, a major airport, north, south, east, west rail, and a major interstate, all within 10 minutes of driving time. And that gives us economic opportunities, opens the door to world commerce, particularly in the Latin America realm. And by having those attributes, those resources, we can help grow the entire coast. And we're not so concerned about, if we don't get this project, we're not in Biloxi does or Ocean Springs or Jackson County does, that we're upset. We're happy. We all work together. We're going to grow together. And by working together, everyone benefits.
If you were to win this mayor's race, this is something that I know Ricky Matthews has talked about. It's something we've seen in other parts of the state, particularly in the Golden Triangle, where you've got multiple counties that have come together to kind of form an economic partnership or alliance to attract big business. We've seen that with some of those mega projects, as I mentioned, with Link there in the Golden Triangle. Would you be a champion of the three coast counties coming together and working in conjunction, kind of everybody pulling for the exact same thing with those economic development deals that you're talking about?
Absolutely. In fact, we've kind of set the tone for that with the Coastal Mississippi Regional Convention and Visitors Bureau. But now we're talking about the industrial side, the distribution side, and we've got the opportunities to work together. You got Stennis over in Hancock County, and you got Ingalls and Chevron, and the things going on in Jackson County, and we're kind of in the center of it. So we want to make sure that we can kind of convey our message and opportunities to the world, and will, because we are the front door of Mississippi. We've come a long way since Katrina, and our front door looks great.
Yeah. But
as you walk down the hall and you go north and east and west a little bit, we got some renovation to do. We got some corridors that need attention, Pass Road, and 30th Avenue, and some areas along 49 North and going past the interstate. But we're going to work with our neighbors in our counties to help realize our full potential.
Visiting with Hugh Keating, he's mayoral candidate in Gulfport, joining us on Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. There has been some focus on this race from a national perspective that people have taken notice of, with a significant amount of money coming in for your opponent in this primary. What are you seeing in terms of the effect of that at the local level?
Well, it's clear, and it's well established, the National Democratic Party has come to town to try to influence our local politics, and that's not something that we don't need the National Democratic Party or any national party influencing our local needs and concerns. In terms of what the impact of it is, quite frankly, it's helped to energize our base of conservative voters. And I'm not one who's going to focus on the us versus them kind of thing. I want to help grow everyone. I want to give everybody an opportunity to be heard. I want to create some committees or advisory committees in our wards to give us insight on the needs and issues of the wards. And I want to create an oversight committee for our CDBG and HUD grant projects and funds, and how best to allocate those. And I intend to be inclusive in allowing and getting people involved. But in terms of the impact of the out-of-state money, yes, it's a concern, but at the same time, I guess I should thank them.
It is interesting to me. We've only got a minute left. You see outside money, and obviously that makes a difference in getting the word out and advertising. But it feels like in local elections, it always comes down to turnout. Can you get your voters out to the polls on Election Day? I think I hear you saying that you think that's not going to be an issue for you. Is that right?
We're going to get the turnout. I was concerned in our primary to see the low voter turnout. But since the primary, I think people have awakened, and we're going to be in good shape.
Big one coming up.
I feel good about where we are.
Hugh Keating, mayor candidate, Gulfport, Mississippi. Thanks so much for your time this morning. Appreciate you stopping in, and we'll check in down the line.
Thank you, Richard. Enjoyed it.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. We're back with you right after this.
From the Venable.
Take a deep dive into the news and debates driving the day. All on your ride to work. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
C-Spire text line 601-879-4395. That's the best way for you to connect with us. Thoughts, opinions, questions, love to hear from you. C-Spire text line 601-879-4395. A lot of you with opinions on the airplane. The airplane in question, the one that the Qatari government is considering giving to Donald Trump in this presidency that would serve as Air Force One. I guess while the United States continues to wait for the new Air Force Ones to be delivered from Boeing. Somebody says, I'll tell you this, if it is actually accepted for some reason, the United States government better go through that thing with the finest of combs, looking for listening, tracking devices, etc. Well, yeah. If the government accepts this 747-8 from Qatar, then it is going to be retrofitted to be as close to Air Force One as it can be. Now, it's not going to have necessarily the anti-radiation measures, doesn't have the ability to refuel in the sky. I mean, that's a military plane thing that we've seen. It's one of the most incredible feats of engineering ever. The ability to put a tanker plane in the sky that's got fighter jet escorts where that nozzle extends from one and, a magnetic connection, pulls it in and shoot the fuel into the gas tank, then shut it off and just keep on going. Don't have to stop at a gas station. That's pretty cool. That technology wouldn't exist. But the communications technology would be installed. The anti-jamming technology would be installed. The countermeasures would be installed. All those things would happen, but the thought is that could happen a whole lot faster than getting a new plane altogether. I was having a conversation with a FedEx pilot over the weekend. And a big part of the FedEx fleet is MD-11s. My son and I were talking to him, and I said, hold on. I was like, they don't still make MD-11s, do they? He goes, no, stopped making them about 20 years ago. That's the McDonnell Douglas 11, which came on board kind of as a competitor to the DC-10 at the time. This was in the early days of the big Boeing 747s. And they say, yeah, it's like most of the fleet, 25 years or so old, which is not that old for an airplane. When you're talking about those, I mean, the planes, like if you fly commercially, yeah, you can get on a plane and tell that, okay, this is a pretty new plane. Delta's got a bunch of new planes in its fleet. American, fewer of those. Some, but not as many. And a lot of times when you jump on a 737 or a 727 or one of those regional jets, you're flying on a plane that's 20, 30, maybe 40 years old and has tens of thousands of hours on it. And it doesn't necessarily it's not a direct correlation to your car either. Lance, how many miles you got on the FJ Cruiser?
Oh, let me think. Like 180 probably.
Okay. I mean, that's
185.
That's a large number. Now, there are people that are quickly going to hit us. Oh, I got 330,000 miles on my, whatever. I understand that. But generally speaking, 180,000 miles is a lot of miles on a vehicle. Tires, the engine, the hoses, the bearings, the fittings, the brakes, all of it. And if you continue to do maintenance on it, you can continue to use that. Airplanes are so expensive to purchase that the maintenance programs are like super detailed and really, really expensive. But it's also the reason that you can continue to fly planes like that for 30, 40, 50 years. And they can have hundreds of thousands of hours on them when it's all said and done. Not quite like miles. But I do think it's a reasonable question to say, should the President of the United States be constantly flying on a 35-year-old airplane? Maybe those of you in the aviation space tell me, doesn't matter at all, Richard. As long as the maintenance is done, it is fine. It's the safest plane on the planet. Maybe so. Maybe that's a bad question. But what are you still using in your life that's 35 years old? And again, they put in an order for 2 new Air Force Ones, Boeing 747s, in 2018. And Boeing says they're nowhere close to being done. And by the way, they need billions more dollars to finish them, despite the fact that they quoted a price at the outset of the project. But yes, as we said earlier, I still think it's weird that a foreign government would gift the President of the United States and the United States writ large an airplane to serve as Air Force One. And then, oh, by the way, in 2029, at the end of his tenure, that same plane will be sent to the Trump Foundation's library. That's kind of...
From Duck Hill to Alligator, Mississippians start their day the right way. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
I stumbled through the Bible looking for some aspirin, and an empty box of Kotex reminded me we're through.
8 o'clock hour, Monday morning, start of the new week. Thank you for being with us, as we said in the 6 o'clock hour and in the 7 o'clock hour. We're going to say to start the 8 o'clock hour as well. To all of you moms out there that are listening, maybe you're on your way to work this morning, maybe you are in the car and you are getting kids where they need to go, maybe you're just out running errands. Thanks for being moms. We hope you had a wonderful and special day yesterday. You got to spend it with people that you care about and people that care about you. And we hope that you were celebrated appropriately. If not, shame on the people around you. But I have confidence that most of you were celebrated appropriately. I hope you enjoyed your day. We're glad to be with you. C Spire text line is open, 601-879-4395. C Spire is, you're not just a customer with C Spire. C Spire is a partner with you in business, in wireless, in home internet. They've got you covered. The best teams know how to get even better. That's why C Spire constantly enhances their wireless, fiber internet, and business solutions for you. You can learn more online at cspire.com. Visit them today. C Spire, inspired by you. Lance, we were talking about all those high-mileage vehicles a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
Got me thinking. Maybe it's time for a new vehicle. Whether you are looking for a brand new or pre-owned vehicle, love to tell you about my friends at Gulfport and Oxford Toyota. They're located on Highway 6 West in Oxford. They got a great selection on the lot. On the Ford side of the lot, if you're looking for an F-150, a F-250 Super Duty, maybe a Bronco or a Bronco Sport, they got you covered. Good selection, best financing rates, employee pricing available right now at Belk Ford. Oxford Toyota, whether it's the 4Runner, the Tundra, the all-new Land Cruiser, the Sequoia, they'll take care of you. Great selection, even better sales team. People that are going to treat you like family because they are family. A family company Belk family has been in the automobile business for over 100 years, and they are not going anywhere. Drive a Belk Ford or an Oxford Toyota vehicle. It's what I drive. It's what I've been driving for a really, really long time. Been doing business with Belk Ford since I was a senior in high school, and hope to continue that for many, many years to come. BelkFord.net, OxfordToyota.com. There's a better way at Belk Ford. I wanted to read this message. I find it weird with all the news out there that the topic is, should Trump be able to keep a plane? You got the China deal, you got the last hostage release, you got Putin and Zelensky talking, India, Pakistan slow down. What's the one topic that can be made a negative? Let's jump on that. Well, we welcome you to the 8 o'clock hour, and we're sorry that you missed the 6 and 7 o'clock hours, because we've talked about all of those things and are going to continue, specifically right now with the China deal.
Well, I was going to say the China deal's funny, too. If you do a little digging, one of their bigwigs was saying to, was it Besant, that, yeah, you know.
Oh, I got it. It's coming.
Yeah, that's
it's
good
coming.
stuff,
Just hold that thought just for a second.
I love it.
The first thing I want us to do, though, is rewind to last week. You got to love when you have a sitting representative in the United States whose grasp of the English language is marginal at best. That is what you have with Ms. Velasquez, who was grilling Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, about these deals, so-called, that you say you are negotiating. So this was at the end of last week. Let's use this to set the stage for the conversation about China and ongoing trade deals. Here you go.
Specifically, which countries are you close to striking deals with?
I'm sorry, Congresswoman, but that would not benefit the United States.
No. I'm asking you a question based on the statement that you made on CNBC.
And I am telling you that it would be detrimental to the interest of the United States for me to answer that question.
Why would that be detrimental?
Because as the negotiations may still be in process as we speak, as we are not at the end of the week yet, I am sure that you through your question, would not want to compromise the U.S. negotiations.
Reclaiming my time.
Would you?
Secretary Bessent, the president goes into a press conference and claims that there are negotiations going on. And then the next day, there's no negotiations going on. So why would you not answer my question? And that will be considered detrimental to the American people, to the American economy. I do not understand.
All right, I'm going to pause it right there. Because I need to ask a question. How do you feel about an elected representative in the United States who is dumb as a sack of hammers? Like, we've heard a lot of inane things during congressional testimony in terms of lines of questioning. And this is not exclusive to Democrats, right? We've heard Republicans go on tangents that it's just like it's a bully pulpit. It's a lot of bloviating. It's a lot of bluster. It's an opportunity for elected officials to hear themselves talk. This is a legitimate line of questions from Congresswoman Velasquez from New York, talking to the Treasury Secretary, being fed questions by her staff, and seemingly with the inability to understand why he is asking the questions or he is not answering the questions that she's asking. Velasquez, specifically, which countries are you close to striking a deal with? I'm sorry, Congresswoman, I can't ask that. That wouldn't benefit the United States. No, I'm asking you a question. You said on CNBC that you were negotiating. Yes, ma'am. But we're not going to talk about specifics. That wouldn't make any sense. Why would that be detrimental? Do you want us to roll out our negotiation playbook for you right here to derail the reclaiming my time? That's how it goes, right? When an answer from a question that you ask is not going the way that you want it to go, you reclaim your time. You start talking over. And she says, why wouldn't you answer my question? He says, I'm happy to tell you that there are negotiations that are going on. I'm not going to reveal the details. So that's the backdrop. Congresswoman Velasquez just needed to wait a couple of days. She would have gotten some more news. Actually, maybe Scott Besson is the idiot here. Maybe he should have just rolled out the entire plan on what the administration was negotiating with China. That probably would have gotten us to the finish line a little faster in this deal. I mean, I am taken to Tom Cruise yelling at Demi Moore about being from the planet of the galactically stupid. You remember that scene in A Few Good Men? It is unbelievable. And sometimes you get smart interrogations from Congress members. Not in this case.
But, this was a hearing through the Appropriation Subcommittee. Now, I guess my question is, was this even necessary to bring him in and talk in the middle of deals going on? Like, what,
you think his time could have been better used?
Kind of what I'm saying here is this: are we having meetings to have meetings so we can set up the next meeting?
Of course.
Yeah.
By the way, here was the announcement from the White House yesterday from Scott Besant. I'm happy to report that we made substantial progress between the United States and China and the very important trade talks. First, I want to thank our Swiss host. The Swiss government has been very kind in providing us this wonderful venue, and I think that led to a great deal of productivity. We will be giving details tomorrow, but I can tell you the talks were productive. We had the vice premier, 2 vice ministers who were integrally involved, Ambassador Jameson and myself, and I spoke to President Trump, as did Ambassador Jameson last night, and he is fully informed of what is going on. So there will be a complete briefing tomorrow morning. That's coming in just a matter of moments from the White House. May have even, was it 15 minutes from now? And we've been told what the United States got. It's not rolled all the way back. Still 10% tariff, 30% for the United States, 10% for China. Big tariff still on fentanyl imports. That's what they agreed on as a framework moving forward to negotiate a larger deal. Which countries are you specifically negotiating with it, Mr. Oh, yeah. What Lance was referencing a second ago, I had that clip pulled up, but we don't have time. China told our trade delegation, yeah, we know there was a framework in place. We just ignored it because we knew Biden wasn't going to enforce it anyway. They told us.
From the Venable Glass.
Morning, Mississippi. You're starting your day off right. Welcome to Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Derek impressed because I made a movie reference. Doesn't happen very often, Derek.
That's one you know well, though. A Few Good Men.
Yeah, I can go about 4 movies deep. Karate Kid, A Few Good Men, Top Gun.
I was going to say, I know the original Top Gun's in there.
Rudy.
And Rudy. There you go.
That's about it.
I rewatched the Maverick Top Gun yesterday, just sitting out.
It's good.
Solid movie. One plot line hole in the whole thing, though, is that the kid should be like 45 years old, not 24.
Well, I mean.
But it's a good movie, though, outside of that. If they'd have said it, in like 99 or 2002 or something, it might have worked a little better. Yeah. But, yeah, great movie, though.
No doubt. You want to go back to Dirt Bike Racer or Dirt Bike Kid? I guess it was Dirt Bike Kid was the name of the movie. I can use that one for some references.
You're not talking about like Gleaming the Cube or Rad, the BMX?
No. I'm talking like Down with Hodgkin, Save Mike's Doghouse.
I don't know that one. I'm going to have to
He's got the magic motorcycle.
I don't know it.
Yeah.
What's it called again? Motorcycle Rider?
Dirt Bike Kid.
Okay. All right.
It's the same kid that was in Christmas Story.
Ah, okay. Ralphie.
Yeah.
Peter Billingsley.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
That's his name.
I'll take your word for it.
They did a remake of that, you know.
Hey, this was what you were talking about a second ago. Let me play it for you. This is Scott Bessent. He has been on the interview circuit this morning talking about China admitting that they ignored the framework of the previous trade agreement that was put in place during the last Trump administration.
What has to happen is it has to be fair for the American people. But in January 2020, President Trump produced a template. We had an excellent trade agreement with China, and the Biden administration chose not to enforce it. The Chinese delegation basically told us that once President Biden came into office, they just ignored their obligations. So, we all already have a large framework. The other thing to remember here, Jonathan, is that this is a pause down to 10%. The April 2nd level for China is 34%. So we will be working to see where their final reciprocal number ends up. And the negotiations are a combination of tariffs, non-tariff trade barriers, currency manipulation, and subsidies of labor and capital.
That's Scott Bessent doing one of a number of interviews this morning. He was on Morning Joe. You got Representative Eric Swalwell. He's a swell guy. He says, just like I told you, Trump caves on China. China's paying 30% to the United States on tariffs. China's tariffs on the United States are 10%. What were they before we started this back and forth?
What has to happen?
Uh-oh. Sorry, I didn't mean to play that again for you. I saw a tweet early this morning. See if I can pull it up. It was from Russ Latino. Russ is a good guy and pretty good follow on X. And he was kind of opining early this morning. And he gave this analogy. He said, imagine you went into the doctor and he amputated your hand for no good reason, but then he reattached your hand. Would you be thankful or stuck on why he cut it off in the first place? That's how I feel about U.S. trade strategy right now. The imagery for that analogy is good, but does it go deep enough? Because wouldn't you have to say, like, the doctor recognized there was a problem in your hand that might one day require amputation. And so he said, let's go ahead and cut it off now. And then he reattached it and it worked better than it worked originally. And you're like, well, that was kind of risky to just go ahead and cut it off now. But the doctor thought, that which is going to have to be done eventually must be done immediately. Maybe I took that too far. But here's the thing. We've talked about this from before Inauguration Day. Donald Trump's window to get big stuff done was incredibly small. It's not 4 years. It's not. It's about a year and a half. Because of the speed at which we get to the next election cycle. We got 2026 midterms coming up. I mean, good grief, Cindy Hyde-Smith right here in the state of Mississippi is going to have a primary opponent. Not to mention a couple of Democrats that are going to jump in. One that already has, one that it's looking more and more like is going to officially jump in. Now, are we worried about Cindy Hyde-Smith? No, not at all. But it's not just a coast for her. She's going to have to work. Point being, Donald Trump didn't have the luxury of 4 years and slow playing the things that he promised he was going to get done. He hasn't had the luxury of allowing Congress to move at the pace they want to move to maybe get the things done that he promised he was going to get done. It's the reason he started signing executive orders hours after he was inaugurated. It's the reason that he's rolling them out faster than you can imagine. And it's the reason that he put all of these tariffs in place to shake up the global economy so that he could get better deals in place for the United States. But he couldn't just call China up and be like, hey, we really need to talk about the tariffs that we've got in place. We really need to talk about our trade agreements and re-examine that. What impetus would China have to discuss and negotiate those things with the United States? Because they had a pretty good deal. It was working okay for China. So you had to do something. You had to do something to get China's attention. What was that something? Going up on the percentage of the tariff. China says, you're not going to do that to us, and we're going to counter. Okay, just went up again. They settled at 145%. Was that enough in and of itself to get China to really come to the table and get to this negotiating place? It wasn't. What had to happen? You had to have Chinese factories start closing. You had to have workers start being laid off. You had to have production levels start going down. And one of the things that Scott Besson has pointed out is, look, when you are the deficit partner in the trade agreement, you are negotiating from an advantageous place. And so the first thing you got to do is shake them and get their attention. Then you've got to create enough pain that they're willing to say, okay, let's talk. And then you get a deal that's in place that makes more sense. And so going back to where I started with this, like, I get Russ's point. Are the numbers that different? Maybe not drastically. Has this 3 months of tariff conversation, 2 months of tariff conversation been painful for segments of the United States economy? Yes, it absolutely has been. And in late January, when Donald Trump stood at the podium in that joint session of Congress and addressed the American people and senators and congressmen, Democrats and Republican, with a few independents mixed in, he said, this is what we're going to do, and it's going to hurt for a little while, but it's going to be better in the long run. And Lance, the thing that I keep going back to, I don't love everything Donald Trump does. I don't. But when is the last time a politician, period, but certainly a president of the United States, spent a year plus on the campaign trail and told you over and over and over and over and over, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. It's how we're going to do it on borders. It's how we're going to do it with partners. We're going to put tariffs in place. We're going to lower prescription drug costs. We're going to get the economy going again. We're shutting down the border. This is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. And then from the second he was inaugurated, he has been doing it. Step for step, line by line, point by point, over and over and over. And so many people act surprised. Are you surprised that somebody kept their word and did what they said they were going to do? That's this presidency for Donald Trump.
Want to know what's being said in the halls of the Capitol? You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross continues on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Is Babylon B consistently the funniest X account? Now, I understand it's sometimes a little off. They have an image of a guy behind a walking a push mower, and it says, "With birthing person's day over, families prepare for lawn mowing person's day." You like that, don't you, Lance?
I love it, man. Come on.
Babylon B.
That's your favorite, too.
Oh, it's so good. Makes me laugh all the time. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Streaming at supertalk.fm, SuperTalk TV. One and only JT Mitchell in studio. News Director, SuperTalk, Mississippi News Team. Good morning, my friend.
Hey, good morning, Richard. Yeah, when we had the Babylon B CEO on Middays a few months ago, he said a lot of our stories are not far from reality, and that's what kind of makes them funny.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
Right.
I'm trying to decide if I can read this one or not. There was one on Friday. Breaking: smoke has risen from Buc-ee's, indicating fresh brisket is on the board.
I mean, it doesn't get much better, right?
Yeah.
Hey, and speaking,
so good.
It's so good. And speaking of Buc-ee's, we have been anticipating the opening of Mississippi's first for what feels like 5 years now. In reality, it's been about 3 years. But we got word the other day that June 9th, mark your calendars, that's when the doors will open in Harrison County to the colossal convenience store.
There you go. You been to a Buc-ee's?
Yeah, I think we've had this conversation about how I was kind of a Buc-ee's hater at first, but...
Have we had this conversation?
Well, I don't know, but maybe not. But went to Buc-ee's the first time around, and it was overwhelming. Too many people. The beaver fever was everywhere. I was like, I'm not doing this again. And then we were going to a concert in Dallas a couple years ago. And my wife, she worked in Texas.
That should be their next T-shirt line. Beaver fever is everywhere.
It's everywhere, man. And sometimes it's too much. But my wife said, just give it another shot. So we stopped. And I don't know if it was an off day for the beaver fever, but I actually was relaxed and could get in there. Bathrooms were as clean as I've ever seen gas station bathrooms. The food was good, and I got in and out. So now I am on the Buc-ee's train, I guess.
There you go.
I caught the fever.
The food's fantastic.
It is.
That brisket sandwich is as good as I've had anywhere. They've got a big, smoked turkey club sandwich also that's, heated. Hot smoked turkey club, I guess I should say. Anyway. Jamal, top 5, baby. Top 5, rolling on.
Got you hooked, Richard. Yes, sir. Jamal Roberts is heading to the top 5 of American Idol. And boy, I'll tell you, I was a bit nervous last night because I think you and I talked about it last week about how the remaining 7 contestants, I could all see them being the winner, right? And they're that talented. And so the first 3 names were called. Jamal was not in them. I was like, oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Not good. Name number 4 was Jamal Roberts. And then name number 5 was Thunderstorm Artists. The first 3 were John Foster, Slater Nally, and Brianna Nix. So we have a top 5.
You had to handicap a winner at this point. And I know tonight we go from 5 to 3, moving toward next Sunday night's final. Who's the odds-on favorite to win this thing? The favorite.
Yes, based on how I've watched the show grow and how I've watched the votes come in over the year based on genre, I'd say John Foster is. He's country. American Idol seems to get a really good viewership from the Southeast. I don't necessarily know why that is, but that's the reason we have seen country winners in the past. So I would say John Foster is your odds-on favorite. But So Gold Derby, I don't know if you're familiar with Gold Derby. Gold Derby is one of those Hollywood websites, and they're known for their live tracker during American Idol because they are up to the minute. Every single thing that is said or sung, they have it on there. And they do this this poll every single week where they ask their readership, which I imagine is millions, who was the best on this episode of American Idol. And Jamal Roberts has won that poll 3 weeks in a row.
Okay.
So you never know. And I know we're all rooting for him here because he's just gotten so much better. I went back the other day because I actually sat down with Jamal, had a phone interview on Friday. And so I went back and watched his audition. And, you know, he's dressed in street clothes like you and me. He's admittedly timid. But then if you watch last night, I mean, he controls the stage with every movement. He's hitting the vocal runs at the right point in every song, interacting with the audience. He looks like a star. I mean, the transformation he's had in just 3 or 4 months has been absolutely unreal.
Really, really cool. So tonight is a big night. They're going to go from 5 to 3. What's the is this a pick your own song tonight, or is there a theme?
So last night because we're at the point in the competition where there's not enough contestants for just one song. So everybody's getting multiple songs. And last night they got to do a Disney song, and then they got to do one dedicated to the mother in their life, whether that be, you know, their biological mother or stepmother or just somebody who served that role for them. Tonight, I believe they're going to have to, because they're at Disneyland in L.A., I believe they're going to have to keep with the theme. It's heroes and villains. They pick one song from their favorite hero or villain, and then I think they'll get to choose a song of their own that has nothing to do with Disney.
Gotcha.
But you have to vote during it. I mean, this is my PSA, is that if you want Jamal Roberts, he is from Meridian, 27 years old, great story, PE teacher, trying to be a star, and just so down to earth. If you want to see him in the top 3, you have to vote tonight between 7 p.m. Central and 8:56-ish. And you can vote up to 30 times, the app, the website, and via text message. Just vote for him. I really don't care if you watch, but set an alarm on your phone at 7 p.m. and vote for Jamal Roberts.
Let's pretend, JT, that you are in the position that Jamal Roberts is in right now, and you have to choose your favorite hero or villain from Disney song. What are you singing tonight?
Well, I have no idea, Richard, because I didn't grow up a Disney kid. I grew up a Nickelodeon kid, Cartoon Network kid. I don't know. You must. Do you have a song that comes to your mind?
Hold on, my screen is frozen. I'm fixing that real quick. There we go. Sorry, I think my screen froze up, so I was trying to fix that.
Because he sang a really good hero song last night. It was "Go the Distance" from the movie Hercules.
Yeah.
So he already got that one out of the way.
I mean, is "I Can Show You the World" from Aladdin a big? I don't know if that's a big enough song.
Yeah, and then a good one. I'm not Disney, but what about Lion King?
Well, that's what
I just can't wait to be king. He can't wait to be king of American Idol.
Is that what you? We're not picking for Jamal. We're picking for you, JT. If you were in this spot,
if I could sing, I'm ready to be king of American Idol and sign my
do that. I'm saying, look here,
and sign my multi-million-dollar record deal.
There you go.
But no, if the second song is whatever, I think Jamal should go something that he knows well, whether that's an Otis Redding song or something like that, because throughout the show, Lionel Richie, he's preached. He said, you are too young to be singing like all the old guys like me. You know something that we had to learn, and you were born with it.
Would sitting on the dock of the bay be too mainstream?
I don't think so. And
is there enough vocal range in that?
And American Idol is a mainstream show, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And so even if it is a mainstream song, if you can connect it with the people watching, you're good to go. But top 5, narrow down to top 3 tonight at 7 p.m. Central. Vote for Jamal.
Hey, we mentioned sports headlines this morning. Ole Miss, Mississippi State competing in softball regionals that will get started this weekend. We've also got some Division II stuff that's happening. Delta State playing in a baseball regional, I think.
Yes, and we can't forget about Jackson State, going to be in the D1 softball tournament as well.
Okay, very good.
They beat Florida A&M yesterday in the SWAC championship, and man, was it deja vu. This time last year, almost exactly a year ago, they beat Florida A&M 3-1 to go to the NCAA tourney. The score yesterday, 3-1 to go to the NCAA tourney. And then you have Mississippi College. Their run just ended in the D2 tournament, and Belhaven's softball team will find out where they're playing today. They have a watch party at about 10 a.m.
You know, we're supposed to have a special session.
Maybe.
We'll talk about that with JT Mitchell, news director, SuperTalk Mississippi News Team. That is coming up next.
The mountains win again. The mountains win again.
From the Venable Glass.
Get the inside track on Mississippi politics. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Thanks for spending part of your Monday morning with us on Mornings with Richard Cross. Alongside Lance Talbert, I'm Richard Cross. JT Mitchell in studio with us with an update of some of the things that the news team is keeping an eye on this week. We're all sitting on pins and needles waiting to find out when the ladies and gentlemen of the legislature will return to our state's capital, go into special session. When the governor is going to say, hey, y'all come, you hear? And they're going to get a budget deal done. When's the governor going to say, y'all come, you hear?
That's the million-dollar question. Billion-dollar question.
It's about a $100,000 a day question, isn't it?
It is. And Governor Tate Reeves said, if you keep acting like you're acting, we might as well go back and y'all not get paid. So, we'll see. I really do not know. You know, I thought that...
Does it feel like there's progress, JT?
I'm growing weary. When I watch the back and forth, the constant hubbub, and let me remind folks, this is not between Republicans and Democrats. This is constant back and forth between Republicans and Republicans. And I'll say it again. I've grown weary watching it. It just seems like week after week, there's a new headline about how there's no progress. A couple of weeks ago, Governor Tate Reeves said that he gave Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann and House Speaker Jason White an April 30th deadline to reach a handshake agreement, at least on enough of the budget-related bills that he can say, come back to the Capitol. Guess what they did not do? They did not reach...
They didn't shake hands?
That deadline. They did not shake hands as far as I know. Today,
do we still believe, JT, that this is about district projects? Like that's the thing that is keeping them from getting across the finish line. The House is saying, look, we're going to take these district projects home like we've always done, and the Senate's saying, nope, we're not approving it.
That's what they're putting out there, and I have no information to believe otherwise. I mean, last week there was hubbub over what you're talking about, which is the Christmas tree bill. That's what you call it. You know, it's where different lawmakers will get rewarded for loyalty or punished for not being loyal, and they can take the shiny new ornament back home and say, hey, I'm giving you this infrastructure, I got this for you, or whatever it is. I also think that the dedicated funding stream for the public employees retirement system is something that I know that they're having negotiations about. I don't know if that is holding up anything. But last week, House Speaker White, he interviewed with WLOX out of Biloxi, and he said it does come down to the capital expenditure funds and then PERS. I don't know if you saw Senator Jeremy England's response on social media. It was pretty scathing. And he said, look, opposed to what that article may want you to believe, the Senate is not against further funding PERS. It's an issue. Got to be figured out. On the other hand, he says the Senate currently is against all of the Christmas tree bills. Because if you look at it right now from the federal level, I think we're around $400 million that's been cut from the Trump administration. And he's saying that we need to bank our money if we're going to ensure that we can be responsible for the state if we're losing federal money. Mississippi is the 5th most federally reliant state in the entire U.S. It gets about $2.34 for every dollar paid in federal tax money. And so I think that may be where the holdup is.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
At least that's what they want me to believe.
So state representatives have got to go back to their home districts and they've got to say, hey, this is what I did for you.
That's right.
This is what the state is doing for our community. The state senators have to go back to those same districts. But they're okay going back and saying, sorry, we just couldn't do anything for that bridge that needs to be repaired or that building that needs to be fixed or, this project that needs to be funded. They're okay with that?
We'll have to get a few on your show this week to ask, because that is a good question. Are they okay with doing that? At the same time, everybody up there at the Capitol, or soon to be up there at the Capitol, is in a precarious situation with the federal cuts. So I don't know. I really do not know when a special session is going to be called. Just remember that June 30th is when it needs to be done by. If not, we're going to have to use the...
And the governor has alluded to the fact that he's willing to fund agencies out of the surplus, right?
Correct. Agencies under the state constitution can be funded. I think he would push his limits and try to fund everyone, but he does not want to have to do that.
Which, by the way, would kind of go against what the Senate wants to do, because they want to protect that big pile of money that's there in case those federal cuts happen, I think.
But we'll keep you updated. SuperTalk.fm.
We certainly will do that. Thank you for being with us on this Monday morning. JT enjoyed it. Lance enjoyed it. Let's do it again tomorrow. Mornings with Richard Cross. Have a great day.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.